Hello there. I'm Alina and this is my channel Enough. I hope you can hear me and see me very well. And please let me know if that's not the case, or just put a plus and kind of let me know that uh, that you can see me. Hello. Oh, good, 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 good. It looks like. Uh, oh, good, good, good. Thank you very much. So, I'm and welcome to my channel. And for now, while everybody else is catching up, I'll tell a little bit about myself. Um, I'm Alina, creator of political channel Enough, and that's what I'm doing. I'm originally from Russia. I was born in USSR, and I lived and worked in USSR and Russia. I used to teach in several universities in Russia, and also worked in several other places at the same time. Like I worked on a big plant which was producing metal, and it was like 7,000 people was working there, and my team helped that plant to. Uh, we were fighting corruption and didn't allow corrupted people to bankrupt the plant, so 7,000 people kept their job. Uh, I researched a lot about the war in Ukraine. This is what my channel is about, and you're welcome to ask any questions you like, and I'll tell you a little bit more about war in Ukraine, for instance, because with this about 9 years of research, just about 9 years, I became an expert on the matter, and this is very hard. It was very hard for me to know that Russia is guilty, that Russia is an aggressor in Ukraine. It wasn't really easy thing to comprehend, and yet I'm follow where the proofs leading me, and the proofs led me to understand that Russia attacked Ukraine without any provocation on Ukrainian side, without any problems with NATO or anybody, and this is how it is, unfortunately. And right now, I have friends, writers from all over Ukraine and from Russia as well, and I see that just yesterday, Kharkiv was bombed. And meanwhile, at the same time, I was practicing my live stream to make sure everything works. And my friend from Kharkiv was using internet and watching my first attempt to live stream and helping me out. The university in Kharkiv was bombed, and so was another apartment, like a house or apartment building. Yet, thank goodness, nobody died there. 4 people were wounded though. And I was born in Volgograd, used to be Stalingrad in World War II. That's why I made the video on my channel when the other day Putin was visiting it for the 80th anniversary of Stalingrad battle, and I was really outraged about that they erected the monument of Stalin in my hometown, in my home city, Volgograd, which suffered from the war a lot. And also, I just, it's unbelievable. Basically, I didn't know at the time when I was making video that there is another monument in my city. It's to the victims of Stalin's repressions, and now they erected Stalin's monument right close to the basically 120 meters from the monument to victims of Stalin's repressions. It's just Blowing my mind. It's like in Germany right now, they would erect a monument to Hitler. I think I'll start, since I don't see much questions for now. And maybe I'll switch to this. Maybe it'll be something. Oh, I see. Oh, glory to Ukraine. Слава Украине. Совершенно справедливо. Very correct, you're saying. That's what I'm saying. As Russian troops amassing at the border last January, did you think at the time the Russians would actually do it? Well, to be honest, I didn't. When I was watching the war in 2014 happening, researching it, like from the time of Maidan, I was researching what was happening, and then I was looking at what is going on, and then I understood that Russia is guilty, that Russia started that war. I didn't know all the details at the time, but I seen a lot of evidence. Even at the time when Putin was denying, no, that's those green men are not Russian troops. Yeah, right. I knew what happening. At the time, I was started to write letters to my friends and relatives in Russia and explaining what happening. And I said, well, if Russia will get parts of Ukraine right now, what's gonna happen next? Putin not gonna stop. Why he wouldn't stop? Because he get Chechnya in the past. After decades of war, he kept it within Russia against the will of people of Ichkeria or Chechnya. He got pieces of Georgia, and then he attacked Ukraine. And basically, I knew in 2014, after 15 what was happening, he get away with grabbing Crimea. They annexed it into Russian Federation. So I said, what? And then those two parts of Donbass, they didn't annex, but they obviously they were Russian. So what happened? I said, he get away with it. He keep getting away with everything. What next? He would want all Ukraine? Yes, he would. He would want Moldova. He would want Alaska. Even at the time, like in between 2014 and 2022, full-scale invasion, the people started to say, well, now we want Alaska. And they pretend that there is some sort of on the website of some American website, there is some sort of a discussion going on that there are some people voting, like 30 of them or something, that they want Alaska to be Russian again. It was before, like right now, the propagandists saying that Alaska and this and that, they want Alaska. No, it was about 2014, 15, somewhere then. And then in 2017, I wrote a book. It is in Russian. It's still in internet for free. I posted it. And one part of it was about the war in Ukraine. And I kind of said, well, yeah, I kind of predicted if he not going to be stopped, and he obviously wasn't, he will go further. He will want all Ukraine. But at the time you're asking, I kind of knew it might, but I really hope it wouldn't. I didn't think that it actually will happen. And after it happened, I kind of thought, well, that was stupid. So many Russians has relatives in Ukraine. They would just slap him on the wrist and say, what are you doing? I did not know that wouldn't happen, that they would believe Putin over their own relatives. Even in the beginning, lots of Russians went on the streets, they were protesting and stuff like that. And I thought, yeah, Putin is done, because Russians wouldn't allow him to attack Ukraine, of all places. It's not somewhere nowhere where nobody have relatives, nobody know anything about this country, somewhere on the other side of the planet, which Russians don't care about. This is Ukraine. This is our brothers, as we thought. Even that was a lie. Basically, in USSR, it's everybody who lived in USSR and I did know that better be Russian than Ukrainian. And but it just wasn't real. Like, even Ukrainians, like I talk to Ukrainians, I have now lots of Ukrainian friends all over Ukraine from different cities. They were saying, everybody told us that it's gonna happen. Americans told us, we didn't believe it. Ukrainian people did not believe it. The first thing, which my friend, Russian-speaking Ukrainian, wrote to me, was, I actually posted it on, I have a website, and for some of you I give maybe a link. I collected the information from my friends, what they felt in the first days of the full-scale invasion, how they felt, and they were saying, why? Why did he do that? What did we do? What did we do so bad that Russia attacked us? And the second thing, what they said, well, because they were Russian-speaking Ukrainians and have relatives, lots of relatives in Russia, they our brothers. They brothers. How are we going to kill them? What are we going to do? And yet, when Russia started to shoot at Ukrainians and kill them, they started to shoot back. Even in the first days of the war, I know people I know, they invited those young conscripts to home. They fed them and give them telephone to call their mama. One woman was saying, I came outside with my husband because we seen somebody in the yard and see two young fellows with those Kalashnikovs. They look like 14 years old, which they probably like 18, but they look very young. We kind of, and they were kind of scared. They didn't shoot us, we didn't shoot them. So we can say, well, come on, come and eat something. And what are you doing in our country? Go back home. Call your mama, let her come and take you back. So this is how it was. I did not believe it gonna actually happen. I kind of knew it might, but I did not believe it. I didn't want to believe it. If you have any more questions, I'd like to answer them. I hope I answered your question well enough. And let's see. I don't see any more questions at this moment. So I might answer a question from other places. One place is Quora. If you know site Quora, I have about, in these few months, I have over 150,000 views there. And this is the question from Quora. And some gentleman asked me, why do you feel you have to do something about it? It means about the war in Ukraine. And here's my answer. I feel that I should help Ukraine because I'm a Russian citizen as well as Canadian. I still keep in my Russian citizenship because, first of all, I don't want to give Putin satisfaction. Second of all, I am fighting as well for my country because Putin is bad for my country. And I'm considering maybe giving it up because I really don't want to be associated with this fascism. But so far, I think it's way more important to make videos to help Ukraine, and it takes a lot of my time, so I really don't have time to deal with that bureaucracy. And again, I'm fighting for my country as well as I'm fighting for Ukraine because Putin isn't my country. Putin is a usurper who took power in my country, and that's what I'm doing. But why? I didn't give Putin permission to start the bloody war, which is the bloodiest war Europe haven't seen since 1945. I didn't vote for Putin, and he rigged elections in my country. Another thing why it because I have friends in Ukraine, and I don't like when my friends are killed or forced to leave their homes. I have relatives and friends in Russia, and I don't like what Putin has turned my country into. He turned it into fascist state and international pariah. He destroyed Russian economy, and he's killing not only Ukrainians but also Russians. More than 200 Russians have already been killed or wounded, and I don't like it. Another thing, Putin is threatening the world, including my country, Canada, where I live now, with basically World War III, nuclear war. He blackmails the world with nuclear disaster, for example, at the largest power plant in Europe in Zaporozhye. starvation of developing countries, and his army destroying power plants in Ukraine, leaving many people without heat, without water for several days, for a long time. And meanwhile, in my hometown, as you might have seen in my previous video, in Russia, in Volgograd, 200,000 people were left without water and heat for several days when the sewer disaster happened. And my city literally drowned in feces, which floated into Volga River, the longest river in Europe, the Russian river Volga. And I understand that Putin will not stop by himself. That is why he must be stopped by other countries. And Ukraine is stopping him. And therefore, Ukraine needs help. And Ukrainian victory in this war will give Russia a chance to build a decent life for everyone, not just for Putin and his oligarchs, because Putin regime will collapse, I believe. But nevertheless, Russians are not as much concern of mine because Ukraine is not bombing Russia. Yes, now they strike a few places with the military equipment or something like that, but on purpose they're not bombing Russia. And all Russia has to do, just take out their troops out of all Ukraine, out of Crimea, out of Donbass, completely out. And Putin can do it just like that. Nobody offering Zelensky any deals. He doesn't asking about negotiations of any kind. So it's not up to Ukraine. Up to Ukraine is clear up their territory by force. Right now, they don't have any other choice, I don't think. Putin has a choice. He can take out his troops any moment he wants. Pay reparations, and Putin should be tried and all that in court for all his crimes. And that's what should happen. And Russia can do it. Ukraine doesn't have any other choice like fight for their freedom. I lived in USSR, and their people did not defend their freedom. That is why millions of them were shot by Stalin and died in Second World War. And I lived in Volgograd, and I might have, if you saw my other videos, you saw I already showed you some. This is from Stalingrad. This is from the Battle of Stalingrad. These bullets, people finding all of this in the vicinity of Volgograd till this day. After all these years, every year it coming up from the ground. And it sometimes to be living in explosives. I found a lemon grenade without a pin in my potato row when me and my friends from university, we were sent by the government to the collective farm to help to pick up potato because we had free education and the government could send us wherever they wanted. This is horrible. And I feel really sorry for Ukrainians. And now the World War III can end the whole our civilization. And hopefully it wouldn't come to that. But I wouldn't too much underestimate Putin. He's a cornered rat. His life is in danger because of, in some way in danger, because if Putin lose power, he will lose life. But being a czar and being controlling all the media and information, he still can stop this war at any moment. He can present to Russians anything as a victory and stop it. And the world already give him so many off-ramps which he could just get out. He didn't took any. He did not took any ways out, which he was provided plenty. He could have said, oh, we got Mariupol, oh boy. He didn't do it. And since 2014 and even 2013 after Maidan, I have collected and verified a lot of information. And now I share it with people because they have right to know the truth and because their lives depend on their knowledge and critical thinking. This is why I'm doing what I'm doing. Oh, I see there is another question. Do any of your friends in Russia support this war? How do they speak of this matter? That's a good question. I had similar question on Quora as well. And I'll answer it. The Quora question was pro-Ukrainian quarrels, have you ever met any supporters of Russia in person? What claims did he or she make? Did you respond to him or her? It is a very good question. Yes, I do, unfortunately. And it is very hard to know that to this day, like it's almost a year, it's just about a year ago in the bloody war in Ukraine. Lots of Russians died. A lot of Ukrainians died. But I mean, Russians in Russia already know that there are lots of people died. They know. At first I heard, "Oi, Mariupol, oh, they just such a precise bombing. They not even broke the windows in the buildings." I said, "Yeah, right. Look at the video I made. 95% of the city of Mariupol bombed to the ground. It's like Stalingrad looking after the war." Yet, still there are people who denying everything. Who they denying Bucha. They just denying it. And Russian government putting people in jail for denying, for saying that Bucha is Russians' fault. Right, a few days ago, a couple days ago, a Belotserkovskaya blogger got charged 9 years in jail, and after that 5 years she would be forbidden to use internet. Why? Because she said that Bucha was done by the Russian army, and apparently it's upsetting Russians that Russian army, they don't believe with Russian army. God, there is just was made investigation by New York Times, and I made a video. Why I'm horrified about Bucha, Irpin, and other places, Kherson, but I'm not surprised. Why I'm not surprised? Because Russian army did it in Afghanistan. That was my generation people. My potential husbands could have been were killed in the war in Afghanistan. I personally heard the stories, like even going in the public transport, I hear Afghan veterans talking, and they talking about putting to the knife the whole village, men, women, children, everybody. I was shocked at the time. I was young and I was in university. I knew there is a war in Afghanistan, but we were presented like it's our international duty to help people, blah blah blah. They were killing civilians there. Then I saw it happening in Chechnya, not personally saw, but knew. Then I saw it in Syria and other places. But in my video, I provided facts and proofs from Slavyansk of 2014, which was liberated by Ukraine back. And they find, like, right in downtown Slavyansk, they find dead bodies. They exhumated, people tortured and killed. Yet my Russian friends, some of them not my friends anymore, they just, even relatives, close relatives, very close relatives, they don't want to talk to me. They wish me dead, and not just dead, but with painful, horrible death, just because I criticized Putin. That's the people who know me. That is shocking. This is scary. This is very scary. They saying that in the beginning it was changing 10 times, like, oh, we're not bombing anybody, we just it's just a special military operation. Oh yeah, we're bombing somebody, but it's just precise bombing of military targets. Russia doesn't even have enough precise weapons. Why Russia using S-300s right now by bombing Ukrainians buildings? Those rockets, missiles, whatever they are, they made to be shot at aircraft carriers. They're not precise. They have tons of explosives, and there have to be many of them to destroy aircraft carriers. They're shooting at Ukrainian buildings. And why? Because they run out of ammunition. They go and begging Iran and North Korea for the weapons. And my Russian friends, they just, I understand it's hard to believe that your country is a Nazi Germany of 2014, 2023. I couldn't believe that myself. That is why, was the reason why I did that research in 2014, because I was shocked. I was still brainwashed from the USSR. I can relate to this. I knew it isn't true, but when I saw it in front of my eyes, how we were lied to, I compared Russian propaganda with what actually happening. I was astonished. And people in Russia, many of them still believe in all of this because they were brainwashed from childhood that USSR is a guarantor of peace, that USSR is always noble, that other countries always wanted to get us. They are our enemies. Like they wasn't opponents or partners. They were always, almost always, 99% of the time, enemies who wants for some unknown reason to get Russia. And oh, NATO, boo, how scary. I proved on my channel that NATO was reducing their forces in Europe before 2014 and planned to do so, massively reducing in 2015, before Russia attacked Ukraine. And now they dare to say, oh boy, how come they are doing all of this to Ukrainian people? They just, Russians saying, the West is attacking us. Boy, what attacking? Whose flag is in Crimea? Canadian? No. American? No. European Union? No. It's Russian flag. Russia came and took piece of Ukrainian land with Russian army. They came there and took it. It blows my mind. I'll see what else I answered back then, just in case I forget something. Another thing that I'm sick of arguing with some old grannies, writers who all so sophisticated and so nice, and I was interested in politics. They arguing with me in the beginning of the war, and so viciously supporting that regime who killing and murdering people. It just sick, really sick. And with relatives, it's just painful. Like I'm not talking to them anymore. To some of my relatives for several months now. We just broke up completely, and they don't want to talk to me, and I don't want to talk to them. Well, I would have talked to them, but they don't even trying to talk to me or contact me in any way. I still have contacts with some of my friends and some relatives, but some they just broke up with me completely, and they made me such an evil person with in every way, just because I dared to contradict Putin. And that is why basically I'm often sound so angry, because sorry, I need some water. I often sound so angry because Putin took away from me everything. He took away from me big chunk of my life. He took away my country, my family, some of my friends, my apartment, and my money in the bank, and the future from the people of my country. That is why I'm fighting. I'm doing what I'm doing. Conversely, are any of your friends or relatives in Russia in opposition to this war? If so, what is this like for them? This is very difficult question because I know several who doesn't support this war, but they're not actively fighting. They're afraid to discuss it because every connection could be intercepted. Right now, not too many ways to communicate with them because Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, forbidden for them. And WhatsApp. Still working Skype, and working. Some of them get back to Facebook, and we can talk there a little bit, and somewhat on WhatsApp and Telegram. They try not to discuss it, and I'm afraid to discuss with some of them more deeply because I don't want to get them in trouble. No matter they support me or they don't, there is no law in Russia anymore. Not like there was much before, but there were laws, at least somewhat. And now police just can come on the street to you, grab your phone, and say, well, open your phone. Like if you have password, unlock your phone. And if they find the app, Facebook, Instagram still there, and God forbid they find the texting like that, talking about the war, the person can go in jail. Like just the other day was information that in Krasnodar, which is I lived in Krasnodar region. I lived in Russia in several places. I lived in Siberia near Baikal Lake, and the deepest lake in the world, amazing lake. I lived in Tuapse on the Black Sea coast near Sochi, which there were Olympic Games there. It's a warm place, and despite the ideas about Russia being cold, no, it's a paradise. It's way warmer than Vancouver. It's a warm sea to swim. Like the temperature in the sea could be plus 24 Celsius in summer, and you can swim there almost until October. It's so warm, and it's like subtropical climate. I lived in Volgograd. It's near Volga River. It's south from Moscow, about 1,000 kilometers, and it's a different climate again. It's kind of more flat, like Saskatchewan, and cold in winter and hot in summer, and so on. So I lived in several places, and I travel a lot, all across Russia. About twice a year, my family traveled all on a train all across Russia, and so Krasnodar, it's near the Black Sea coast. So couple family with a friend came to restaurant. They were talking about, the guy went outside for a smoke, and the women talking about the war in Ukraine. Some guy at nearest table wasn't happy about it because he was from that so-called Donbass, Donetsk Republic, or whatever, Lugansk. So he called a police on them, National Guards. National Guards showed up, put that woman and her husband face to the floor, and filmed it. They just took telephone and filmed it. The woman actually was brave, and she was saying "Glory to Ukraine, Slava Ukraine," and so on, and complaining. But it was private conversation of private people. National Guards took the video of it and make it public, and because it's a propaganda of discrimination of the army in internet and public, they arrested the guys. Luckily, they have a minor child, and they released for now, but there would be charges. They would pay fine at least for the private conversation of private people. That is why it's not far-fetched to say that people are in danger who exposing themselves for that type of stuff. It's still not Stalin time. And I just watched today a big video about how it is in Russia. Yeah, 430 people get arrested for this, something for that. So it's not Stalin time when they mass repressions for millions of people. And why not? Because there is internet, there is TV. Right now, it's enough to arrest a few to scare the many. I still think many Russians still can do a lot of things. And I just watched today that there is some sort of a resistance in Russia. And they are the ones who blowing up throwing Molotov cocktails on the recruiting offices and blowing up the railroad tracks and so on. So there is resistance, and Russians not tolerating it. And even that video I made about the apartment building bombed in Dnipro city, and many people died in Ukraine, and Russians came to put flowers, to protest, and to put flowers as a protest, to put flowers to the monuments of Ukrainian famous poet Lesya Ukrainka, or famous writer Taras Shevchenko, or any monument, like even to monument of Stalin repressions, in support, and even little toys, like soft children toys, like a little bear or something, in memory of the people who died in the bombings of Ukraine. They were arrested just for putting flowers to the monument. Near some monuments, they just put a police machine, like a car, like I don't know, minivan with bars on the windows, like for transporting criminals. They put it right near the monuments where the Russians will keep coming and bringing flowers and toys and stuff like that. So they decided that's what they're gonna do. So for my friends, it's dangerous to say that they agree with me. It's dangerous to say that they're doing something about it because it's internet, it's telephone, connections could be intercepted. I talking to my family with the phone right now. They have broken Skype, and even in Soviet time, I know that for sure that they were tapping telephones, whatever they want. Like people, Russian people, not used to have rights. They never had any, and they just don't have it. And right now, with all the laws passed, they have less and less and less rights at all. That is why it is not good for them. Like I don't know for sure how many of them and how deeply they against and what are they doing against it. I know that even my family members who disagree with me and who was very nasty to me, they were helping Ukrainian refugees. And so are the women who were supporting Putin. They were helping, on the other hand, Ukrainian refugees. It's not all black and white and simple in Russia. You think it's a good person and then they do bad things. And then you think he's a bad person and he's doing good things. They're helping refugees on one hand, and on the other hand, supporting the authorities who supporting Putin, who started this war and made those people refugees. He made them run away from their own country because he wanted to. And refugees, and now they're helping refugees at the same time. How come it doesn't even click in their head that it's wrong? Many people, poor Russian soldiers, they are trained and this and that. And they don't even question why they have to be in the war. The other day I had a conversation with correspondence, I would say, with my friend writer from Russia. She didn't go into details, but she said she knows people who were mobilized and who volunteered to go. She personally knows. But she said, when I explained what I'm doing and I warned her that her connection to me could be dangerous and this and that, she politely said, well, I think we see things differently. That's what she said. So unfortunately, my connections to Russia a little bit less than I wanted to, and it is very difficult to get to them. Like I know people who is against, and I know people who pro Putin, and I know people who just wishy-washy. They pretend nothing happening. Many Russians still pretend nothing happening. They still thinking they live in their life as much as they want, and that's what about it. It's what gonna be for them. I am thinking, well, nothing good gonna be. Why? Because laws coming more and more strict, and I think this is a sign of that Putin doesn't have the support he claims he has. Because otherwise, if everybody would be so yeah for Putin, for special operation, blah blah blah, he would not need the laws, and he would not need the army going and chasing after people with private conversations at the table in a restaurant. He would not need all that repressions. He would not need to put people in jail for the big times. He would not need to torture Navalny, a Russian oppositional leader who literally get tortured in jail. And I demand freedom to him, freedom to Navalny and all political prisoners in Russia. They put a woman, Skochelenko, in jail because she was changing price tags in the store with information about the war. They put her in jail for a long time now. I think for a year she doesn't see her family. They didn't even allow visits. Plus she has some health issues, serious health issues. They don't address it whatsoever. And so is with Navalny. Like Navalny sitting in a tiny schizoid, called it like a a cell, not even a cell, it's like a box. And he there for months at a time, like for days, like they put him for several days, then they release him for one day and put him back. Just because he didn't button his shirt up to the last button, or he didn't say hello in the proper way, or something like that. Like any excuse is just literally torture of the people. And he is a famous prisoner, which known all over the world. I can only imagine what they're doing for other people who the world doesn't know about and nobody complaining. So this is what I wanted to tell you about that. So for them, danger is real, but it's not as bad as they might think. But also, I don't want to be the reason some of them get in jail, especially if they don't even supporting me. Which is, they should realize, in my opinion, that it's only a matter of time. There is no right thing to say in Russia. Whatever right today could be really wrong tomorrow. Like they were saying, they was putting people in jail for calling the war a war. They literally was putting them in jail. And then now Putin say the war right from the screen of TV. Lavrov saying war. A whole bunch of propagandists saying war. And they're trying to switch that special operation, which was supposed to be done by special people and other Russians wouldn't be even involved, into a people's war when we're defending our country. Where? In Ukraine? You defending your country in Ukraine? Nobody even thinking about it. So this is well, it is very tricky. It's real danger, but it's not as much as they think. It's sad that Russia doesn't have a law. Putin changed constitution, changed the law. There is article of the law in Russia saying that starting and continuing aggressive war could be also up to 15 years in jail. It's a punishing by Russian, supposed to be punished by Russian law. Yet Putin doing it, it's okay. Then Prigozhin and his Wagner group, they are mercenaries. They're forbidden by Russian law. They shouldn't be existing whatsoever. Yet Prigozhin flying on a helicopter, landing in the jail, and recruiting murderers who committed several murders and supposed to be in jail for decades. He just came and took them out. What kind of law is that? And every fifth of them already dead. They're using them in Bakhmut like a cannon fodder. They're just piling corpses like in a zombie movie. You kill 100 and another 100 coming, and they keep coming and coming and coming because nobody care about them. And why they're going? Because there is guys with machine guns behind them. I am very disgusted with my country. One of them, Russia. At least I have Canada to look to, and Canada helping Ukraine. I am really glad about that. But I can't be neutral. I can't be impartial and can't be silent right now, no matter how dangerous it is for me or anybody, because when I published my book in 2017, I published it under pen name. I didn't even want my family be connected in any way. Now, everything is wide open right now because this is dangerous. This is very, very dangerous. And not just because World War III kind of thing. It's because Putin basically put mine underneath of the chair we're sitting on. He is saying the world that there is no law. What law? Anybody can come and grab what they want. He took Russia centuries back and he trying to drag the world centuries back into the past. When the might is right, and I can say now, well, I want your house. It doesn't matter that there are no my troops in there, but Putin's troops wasn't in Zaporozhye either, but he took it. He said, we are annexing it right now. Just recently they annexed it. So if he can do it, why can't I? Why can't Russians just come and grab the palaces of oligarchs and Putin's palace? Putin allowed them to do that because he said there is no law. If it's okay to do for him, I don't see if it's not okay to do for everybody else then. So if Putin wins, which he wouldn't, but I mean, if the miracle will happen, or let's pretend, it means that there is no law, not in Russia, but in the international arena as well. Putin want Ukraine, Putin get Ukraine. Putin want Alaska, Putin get Alaska. he's not gonna stop. He has to be stopped. Ukraine stopping him. That's why we need to help Ukraine, because Ukraine doing it for us. So yeah, thank you very much for your questions. And if anybody have any more questions, I probably was holding you guys up. I might keep some more questions for next time. Oh, так, regarding the rush of fires and so forth in Russia, is it your feeling that there is a centralization to this people act of sabotage, I guess, or do they seem impromptu? Well, I also just today seen on TV Rain that there are some sort of organizations. I don't know much about them, but some of them claim responsibility. And one journalist today was saying that she actually talked to the 5 people. No, she wanted to talk to 5 people, but only 4 agreed to have an interview with her. They saying that they are organization and they are doing it organized. It's planned, organized, and connected to each other. And so far, they claimed several actions that they taking responsibility for, but it isn't proven. So I can't say for sure. This channel, I'm telling the truth. So I'm telling things how I know they are, and I'm proving it with what I have. And if I can't prove it, then I'm saying, well, this is information I have, but it isn't proven. This one isn't proven. I think there is both. In some cities, even in the same Krasnodar where those family was arrested at the restaurant, there is underground resistance, according to TV Rain again. And so they fighting, and there are random acts. I believe there are people who, for reason, they don't trust anybody, they just doing it on their own. And they have a reason, because unfortunately in Russia, it's kind of like in Stalin time, people started to write, how you call it in English, donos, we call it in Russian. It's like a note to FSB. My neighbor, Ivan such and such, doing bad things. He wiped the Z sign from the door of our building. He probably pro-Ukrainian. You should look into this. Concerned citizen Petrov. And then they send it to the FSB for or like the guy in the restaurant called the police and National Guards on the people who say it at the table that they don't want war and they support in Ukraine or something like that. So I think it is both. There is some resistance in Russia because so conveniently was so many like Russians joking that there are either flying geese who is spewing fire in some places or something, or somebody just throw cigarette butts in inappropriate places and then boom. I heard that in Belgorod most recently, which is close to the border with Ukraine, it's Russian region, and Belgorod is the center of that region. As far as I heard, somebody shot at the oil depot, fuel depot, and either shot or it was internal sabotage. I think it was shot by Ukrainians. And the fire happened to spread out into the plant nearby, which was producing parts for the fixing bridges. So that was big fire there as well. I guess it was luck for Ukrainians. And so now if Crimean bridge again will get hit, then probably good luck fixing it now. And I personally know that the Navalny, the gentleman I was saying, the oppositional leader who is in jail, he has a big group of people, his supporters, who created a YouTube channel called Popular Politics, Popularная Politika, besides his own channel, Navalny, where they do investigations into corruption. The same people kind of doing the Popular Politics channel, which is from the first day of the full-scale invasion, they providing kind of like TV Rain, the news about the war and helping Russians to understand that it's wrong and what's happening and so on, telling them the truth. And now they reopening the headquarters of Navalny in Russia, and there are quite a few of them all over Russia. There are secret underground groups of Navalny. I actually send them message as well. We'll see what happens from that. So far, I'm not gonna become a supporter or not supporter of Navalny. Right now, it's not about supporting him or not supporting him. It's all about this is all about he is innocent. He should not be in jail at all, and definitely shouldn't be tortured. His life is in danger. His health is in danger. That is why I want him released. And after Putin regime will fall, we will decide who to vote for. But right now, concern is the life of Navalny and life of the people like Skachelenko, people who is in jail, and so on. And so I hope that people will stand up for themselves in Russia. Why? Because they don't have too much choice either with Ukrainians and so on. Like Ukrainians don't have too much choice. They either gonna fight or they're gonna die. Putin gonna kill them all. He doesn't hide the idea that he gonna kill Ukrainians. Like even in the first days of the war, they published some sort of when they thought they're gonna take Kiev in 3 days, they took it down later. The whole program, what they're gonna do with Ukrainians, like loyal people would be surviving, disloyal will be killed, and a little bit disloyal would be sent to Russia in Russian gulags working for Russian economy somewhere in Siberia in the prisoners camps. That's what they are Putin's idea to deal with Ukrainians. Whatever happened to Ukrainians who get under Russia, we seen in Bucha, in Slavyansk, in Irpin, in Kherson, in many other places. So they get tortured, they get killed. So Ukrainians have only choice to fight. They don't have other choice. That is why also I'm doing my channel, because there are many good people from abroad who doesn't know the situation. They're saying, oh, Ukrainians, well, the war is bad, let's stop the war. Stopping the war right now when Ukraine is winning is playing in the hands of Putin, because he only bring more troops, have a little bit break, which help him to bring more troops, more weapons, more everything, and attack Ukraine even more. So why would Ukraine stop? Nobody even offering them to stop. But why would they? There is no reason to. There is no reason to believe Putin. He's lying all the time. There is no point even to talk to him. Even he doesn't even offer any negotiations. He just want to dictate Ukraine his terms, which is being a losing side. It doesn't matter. Like even Ukraine lost that Soledar, which was tiny city for 10,000 people, didn't mean anything on the big scale of war in military sense. I really sorry for the city and for the people, but on the military scale, it wasn't even close to whatever Russia trying to do. Like they really need victory. And now they have, oh wow, we got Soledar. As far as I know, Ukrainian forces left Soledar eventually, but they were saying that they got it for days before that, which I was disproving with my video. No, Soledar isn't taken. No, today Soledar isn't taken either. Now, even if they take Bakhmut, it doesn't change the war at all. So I hope they wouldn't, but even if they do, it's not militarily a big deal. That is why Ukraine need help. Ukraine need weapons. Ukraine need everything they need to be given to them, because they are the ones who standing between the butcher from Russia, Putin, and the free world. They don't have much choice. They have to fight. So is Russians. Russians have to fight. They have to fight for their freedom, like every other country, majority of the countries anyways, did. That is why Americans have their freedom. That is why many other countries, sometimes it just have to happen. There is no point of being wishy-washy about this. It just has to happen sometimes, unfortunately. Why? It's because you can negotiate with somebody who come and say, well, I want your wallet. You give them wallet, they go away. There is no point to die over the wallet. But if the person come and say, I want to kill you, what to negotiate about? Well, you have to defend yourself and stand up for yourself. That is why that's exactly what Ukraine is doing. And the world is helping. Putin has he can hope that it will change, but it won't. Material contribution. Well, as last time I heard that Canadians provided a lot of uniforms, winter uniforms to Ukraine. And recently they sent them those called Stinger, I believe. It's a military vehicle, armored vehicle, the big ones, and they sent quite a lot of them. I might be wrong, but they was talking about a couple hundreds or something. I'm not entirely sure how much. In my opinion, would be more helpful if they sent Ukraine about 2,000 Ford pickup trucks or a Toyota pickup trucks. That would have been helpful more than providing these big vehicles. But they provided what they provided. So that's what the last I heard. I was a bit distracted lately with making videos about Crimea. I just want to wrap it up the series of that. And I wasn't putting too close of attention what Canada is doing just at the moment. And as far as I know, my member of parliament in Ottawa right now, which as I'm in contact with my member of parliament right the first day of the war. And so next day I wrote to Canadian Prime Minister. And they actually took what I say, not because I said so, but they put the sanctions I was requesting on Russian oligarchs and so on. And so Canada helping as much as they can, and they will. We have a strong lobby here supporting Ukraine because we have lots of Ukrainians in Canada, and they're helping. I know that the group I belong to in Kelowna, they collecting money and they providing to Ukrainians a lot of bulletproof vests, night vision, and so on. So that's what Canada does, as far as I know. But I'll see what else I find and I'll write a comment. Well, thank you all for coming. I appreciate that you supported me on that my first live chat. I hope the quality was all right, and we will do it again. And I'm wishing you a good day or good evening, depends what you have. We have evening. Well, thank you for coming. See you later.